Welcome to Strategic Planning for the Small Business Owner. This video lecture is for Entrepreneurship New Venture course at Gateway Technical College. We talk about the purpose of the strategic planning process. You're going to use strategic planning as a long-term management tool. It's going to help the business owners be proactive in the way that they respond to challenges or events that they might encounter. Some of them may be long-term challenges, some of them may be short-term challenges. What you're trying to do through the strategic planning process is identify all the factors that may affect your company within a 3 to 5 year period of time. This process, once you're done with it, will help you formulate your goals, and those goals then will lead you ultimately to an action plan. When we talk about the strategic planning process, we look at 6 specific steps within the process. And the strategic planning process is an ongoing process of going back and evaluating your current plan and then identifying a new plan to follow. For example, here at Gateway, we just finished one strategic plan, and now we're in the planning stages of identifying and creating our next 3-year strategic plan. First part of the strategic planning process is make sure that your organization has a mission. And so creating or formulating a mission statement. Next is completing an environmental analysis. Then performing a competitive analysis. Fourth, we're going to be analyzing your strategic alternatives. Fifth, you're going to be setting your goals and standards. And then the last step, the 6th step, is when you start looking at setting up your control systems. How are you going to evaluate it? But we're going to look at each of these areas and content areas individually. We've all heard of the mission statement. A lot of companies have mission statements. The purpose of the mission statement really is to answer the question, what business are we really in? We want something that's specific enough so when people read it, they understand the business we're in and how our business operates. You don't want it long. You don't want multiple sentences. Tom Peters, a business consultant, says you don't want your mission statement longer than 25 words. Can they be longer than 25 words? Yes, but you don't want a long thing for people to read. It's not meant to be a business plan. It should be a very succinct paragraph that really communicates what your business does and what you want it to be ultimately. The reason why we do the mission statement is the mission statement becomes the foundation of everything we do. And so I know a lot of different organizations we'll look at, I've worked with, and they say, well, we should move to this aspect, or we should add this to our plan. And I always say, how does that fit into your mission? How does it fit into what you want this company to be? And so the mission statement becomes the foundation of all of your planning tools and instruments. And the second thing that you do is what we call the environmental analysis. In a lot of circles, we call that the SWOT analysis, where we look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And usually this environmental analysis, we look at the internal situations and external situations. And when we look at internal situations, that's the S and the W, the strengths and the weaknesses. What are the strengths of our organization? What are the weaknesses of our organization? And we look at that from the internal piece. When we talk about an external environmental analysis, the opportunities and threats, that's when we're looking at competition in the industry and the market outside of our organization. What opportunities are out there for us, and what potential threats could there be? A threat could be a new entrant. A threat could be added product from a competitor. It could be economic situations that are going on. So then, once we look at that, we identify our competitive analysis. And the first thing we want to do is we want to identify our competitive advantage. What is it that we do better than our competition? And then we look at our competitive weaknesses. What is it that our competition does better than we do? This idea of evaluating your competition can be both formal and informal. The formal evaluation You can look at doing a chart like they show in the text, and identifying, in the text they give an example of 10 specific areas you're going to evaluate your competition on, and really kind of create a matrix that you can evaluate each competitor on. Informal techniques could be you go to the place of business. You look at products they're offering. You might go to their website. If you're in a restaurant, you might go there and test their food out, see what their menu looks like. And so there's formal and informal techniques that you can use to look at your competition. The next, you have your strategic alternatives, which basically is identifying the problems and deficiencies from those previous steps we talked about. Create a potential list of actions or solutions to take place, and then identify what the advantages and disadvantages of each of those solutions could potentially be. Then we move to that goal setting stage. When we're writing our goals and our strategies, we want to make sure that we're writing them in terms of outcomes, not necessarily actions. And we're not getting to the point of what we're doing to meet that goal yet. We're just identifying what that goal is going to be. We want to make sure that goal is measurable. At the end of a specific period of time, are we going to be able to evaluate and say, yes, we were successful in that area? You might say a goal is to increase sales. You want to put a dollar amount to it, or a percentage. We're going to increase sales 20% over last year. And so you can look at last year's sales figures, have a true goal to identify it. And that leads to our next piece of making sure it's challenging yet attainable. One example from personally where we set goals is the idea of like a New Year's resolution. And so let's say your resolution is to lose weight. And you get through the whole year and you lost half a pound at the end of the year. That may or may not be successful for you. What is the challenging yet attainable piece that you're going to be looking at? So set an actual number where you can evaluate at the end. The goal within the organization, you want to make sure that everyone in the organization understands what that goal is. Here at Gateway, when we do the strategic plan, not only are people involved in the creation of the strategic plan, but we all know what our goals are ultimately going to be. Right now we're in the process of developing some listening sessions for that strategic plan. And so they want to make sure that everyone participates, and so we all know exactly what everyone should be striving towards. And then you make sure that there is an end date. There's an end date for this specific achievement. And so we want to increase sales by 20% over last year by December of 2012. And so you want to make sure you have an end date where you're actually evaluating was this thing successful or not. Then you're going to put control systems in place. Every goal needs to have some form of evaluation procedure in place. How do we identify if we're successful or not? And this evaluation can't be just at the end of the goal. Right? So if we are moving forward and we've set specific standards, let's go back to this 20% increase, and my part of a 3-year plan, I'm on the second financial quarter, so let's say I'm 6 months into it and my sales are down 28%. Well, I'm 48% off because I wanted to be up 20, I'm down 28, and so I need to identify what new tools or techniques am I going to need in place to meet that piece. You don't want to just be at the end of the goal cycle and say, oh, gosh, we missed the goal by 30%. You put control systems in place to identify, is there a plan B method I need to enlist? And so you need to identify those points and times when the plan will be, one of these pieces going to be evaluated. And so kind of as a recap, when we talk about different strategic planning tools that we can use, we have the mission statement. Again, it describes who you are and what your business is. And really moving into why does a business exist? When we talk about business level goals, that describes what you want your overall business to accomplish and how you're going to achieve that company mission. We talk about functional level goal, describes the performance of specific departments to achieve your business level goals. And then your strategy You talk about your plan of action. It details how you will attain those function level goals. So they all kind of build upon each other.